Hey folks, so I know that everybody has their eyes on Tesla right now, so I wanted to do a technical analysis. So right now we're actually looking at a 10-year chart on the 1-day time frame. So if we're looking at this green line represents the 50-day moving average, pink line represents the 200-day moving average, and orange line represents the 20-day moving average. So as you guys can see, we are far below this 200-day moving average. We're also far below this 50-day moving average. We're not too far away from the 20-day moving average. So as you guys can see, 20-day moving average is at 197.58. 50-day moving average is at 228.81, and 200-day moving average is at 267.58. So now let's go ahead and let's explain these trend lines and support and resistance. So we've recently just bounced off this support trend line right here. So if we're just looking right here, this was prior resistance right back here. So this support right here is right around 165. So yeah, we pretty much bounced off of it. And you guys can see that if we break this support right here, we could fall all the way down here to potentially 118. So this would be the next strong area of support. And you guys can see all of this chop right here. So there's quite a bit of consolidation all the way back here. So this is the risk going forward if we start breaking underneath. Now I do want to point out that there is one more support. And I'm going to have to go on the 5-year weekly time frame to show you guys this. So on the 5-year weekly time frame, there is this 200-day moving average, which is right at 161.56. So that could be the next area of support if we break that 165 support. So now let's go back to the 10-year 1-day time frame. All right, so now I want to explain these two lines right here. So they kind of look like chopsticks. So if we're looking at this right here, this is a falling wedge type pattern. So this is basically when we're bouncing off of a support and then rejecting off of a resistance. And we're constantly doing this back and forth into this falling wedge type pattern. So that is our current price action right now. Now let me explain this trend line right here. So this is a longer term trend line. You guys can see that we bounced off it twice right here. And then once we cut underneath, we fell sharply, we rebounded, we rejected, and then we're in the current situation that we're in right now. So let's just go ahead and zoom in on this more recent price action, and then let's just go ahead and talk about it. So as you guys can see, this is the longer term trend line. You guys can see that we bounced off it right here and right here. And here we cut underneath it, we went back, we retested it, and we rejected. Normally when we cut underneath longer term trend lines like this, we tend to go back and retest it and see if we could get back above it. But as you guys can see, we had a pretty solid rejection. So that's where we're at right now. Eventually, if we want to be bullish, we need to get back above this trend line. Now, getting back above this trend line will also mean getting back above this 50-day moving average. So let's talk about this chopstick-like pattern, this falling wedge. So you guys can see we had this support right here, bounced off it, rejected, bounced off it, rejected, bounced off it, didn't even make it up here. And our current situation right now, we bounced off it again. And then are we going to hit this top resistance line? Now notice that we also have this 20-day moving average that is literally converging with this top trend line. So this is going to likely be strong resistance, and that's showing up at 197.57. So that's going to be pretty strong resistance in my opinion. If we do break above that, then yeah, I think that there's some pretty solid upside, and we could potentially see that 50-day moving average hit. So let's zoom in even more. So I'm going to go to a shorter time frame. So right now we're going to look at the 30-day, 30-minute time frame. And I'm just going to move a little bit over right here. And we're going to zoom in even more. So let's look at more recent price action. And I'm going to zoom in one more time here. So here's our current price action. Now let me explain these little patterns right here. So this little pink circle, this is basically saying that we have this gap. So we had this gap. We actually went and filled it today. So if we're looking at this gap, it's right around, let's see, that is like 170. That's about 178-ish. So yeah, if we're looking at this gap, it fills around 178-ish. Or actually, my bad. So that's actually about 179.80 is where this gap is. So you can't see it as well because I have this drawing. So let me go ahead, activate this drawing. Let me move it out of the way there. So yeah, now you guys can see that this gap starts all the way up here. So it's right around 179.80-ish. So we basically filled that gap today, as you guys can see. But look at what we left down below. We left this pretty big gap down here. So if we're looking at this gap and we want to fill this gap, that's basically 169.90 or 170. So if we were to just go back down and fill this gap, that would be right around 170. So where are we right now? Well, basically we are above this gap right here, or we're pretty much right back into it. So we're pretty much right back into this gap. But look at this massive red authoritative candle right here. So this massive red candle would likely dictate where price action could go in the future. So I'm just going to go ahead and draw out a potential trading zone that we could see if we manage to hold price action above this gap. So this is basically the price action that we could enter if we manage to hold this gap, like I said. So this will pretty much be right around 179.80 all the way up to around 185. So this could be the potential new trading zone if we hold this gap, like I said. But, like I said, again, we have this massive gap to the downside. So you got to be a little bit careful here. Tesla could entirely rally. I know that, there is some news going on of potential stock buyback by the end of this year. There's also news going on about Tesla Cybertruck. So, we could see some positive catalysts here, but also keep in mind that we do have that FOMC projection in mid-December. Who knows what that's going to do on the overall market. So that's basically my analysis on Tesla, and I hope you guys have a good one.